Yeah, just sitting with our essential nature. And I'm going to open up for everybody. When I say to you, how does that feel for you? I don't mean then it's to think about it. It's that the way of sensing that's prior to mental activity. It's consciousness itself. It's awake, aware presence is our essential nature. So is there a sense of that, this awake, aware presence that we all are, our essential nature? And that's not leaning into thought. That's just, as I often do, point to this broader picture, this broader view, this resting back, nothing to get, just looking at what's actual. A sense of dropping out of the head and down, down, down into the sense of just being here rather than doing. And in being, there's that sort of groundedness that we start to recognize. When I say, well, let's just land at the beginning of the meetings, it's this dropping down into being. And really, it's just what we're noticing. Because the being is always there. It's just a matter of we tend to go towards the ever-changing. And that's how we miss our essential nature, because we're not recognizing what's looking. Or we're just paying more attention to the ever-changing than what doesn't change. What's always there when we look, when we take time to notice what's here. It can be that sort of drawing of attention home and then just noticing what's here. That almost backward movement. And it's not that we leave being, we can't leave our essential nature, but there's just that experience of movement almost creates a me. And then from that me, then we can, consciousness or awake, aware presence can experience itself as a me. It's just a contraction of consciousness, a little point of view that we create for ourselves. But when we investigate that point of view, we can look for it. We can look for this me. It can never be found in direct experience unless we keep applying labels to something. We peel away the labels, we recognize, oh, it's actually ungraspable what we were creating. Can't actually be found in reality. And then there'll still be that subtle sense of a center looking for the me. But we can also turn towards that one that's looking and notice that even the looker has the potential to dissolve, that there is no center in absolute reality, that we are formless awareness, formless intelligence. This is our formless primary, our formless nature that can experience itself as a body-mind. So it's unified. It's the source of all that comes and goes. It can experience itself as a body-mind. But that is just, and it can also identify itself as a body-mind. So it's a little bit like the sun's rays, We don't call the sun's rays the sun, that we don't take the rays to be the sun. We don't take the body minds to be the source. The rays are an appearance, or how the sun can appear. If we trace those rays back to its source, we find what's actual, because the rays can change, the patterns of clouds can change, but the source never changes. And that's sort of what we're doing. We're bringing our attention home to the source of all the movements, all of the identifications, all of the patterns, the waves appearing in what we are. So there's no actual center, yet we can experience one. When we say I am, it can feel like there's a center to that, an actual point. And I remember feeling like I still had that point, and it's not something to get rid of if there is still that. It's something that dissolves the more we recognize our formless nature, and that there is no point of view until we create it, until consciousness creates it for itself in order to experience, modulates it. Itself, you see, because there's nothing apart from itself, so it modulates itself to create a point of view, to have an experience. And that's like the sun's rays. You then start taking the rays to be who you are. So you start taking the body-mind modulation point of view to be who you are, but you are prior to that. You're aware of the thoughts. You're aware of the body. The hand isn't aware of you, but you're aware of the hand. So what is our essential nature? So that's for you to look. It's not a belief I'm trying to give you. I'm just talking from my essential nature. And when I say my, it's because it's life that's having this experience of a my. And that's beautiful. We don't negate the body-mind experience. We don't push it away. We just recognize what's experiencing it, what's fundamental. And then we can enjoy the body-mind experience. We don't resist the body-mind experience. And when we don't resist that, when we're open to how life's unfolding, then there isn't any suffering. Doesn't mean there's not friction, doesn't mean there's not push and pulls, and the ever-changing is still shaping and patterning, unfolding spontaneously. But we start to notice there's something that's untouched by all of that unfolding. All of those waves of experience, thought waves, emotional waves, contractions, are all appearing in what we are. They're not who we are. So they're not ours. So we can welcome them. And in the welcoming, they are seen as not a part. They're accepted. They're the duality experience of them, that as if something's apart from you, dissolves, just like the one who's looking for a me. We can turn towards it and it dissolves. So we don't ignore all of the experiences, but we get to see that they, awareness is untouched, is never altered by the experiences. So that's our fundamental nature. So we're fundamentally untouched. And that becomes our ground of being as the human experience. They're never changing. It gives us this sense of okayness, that everything is already enough, that we don't need the moment to be different, because we're actually untouched. And that doesn't mean that we are then not engaged. It means we can fully engage with everything, because we're not bound to any of it. So we can have there's this intimacy with what we are, with how we're shaping, but we don't become the shapes. Like how the sun is shining, how its patterns of rays, it's not apart from its rays. So they can pattern and shape depending on the weather, but the sun's unaltered, we're unaltered, our essential nature. I think it's just recognizing what doesn't come and go, what's always there when we look. It's always available. And to be determined to recognize that, be determined to not keep choosing the ever-changing, the identification, the contraction, identification with the contraction, identification with the thought wave, and all it is how life experiences itself. And it can experience itself as this effortless being. So even just to recognize your fundamental nature is effortless when we don't try to do it, when we just recognize what's always already here. We don't try to do anything. That's effortless. Effortless being is just being rather than doing. Not trying to do, just being, and then doing will take shape. Like it's always been happening, but there was identification. As if there was somebody doing it, but when we look, we can never find that one. It's only ever this. Always awareness remains the same. So like the sun's light remains the same, although it's diffused and patterned, and the source is the same, the source is unaltered. And I'm happy for anybody to come back if there's anything they want to discuss on that we've just explored. Or we can just sit with it if you like, whatever you want to do.